What is up, my friends? Apologies, I have reset the broadband to a different frequency, so hopefully this one should be a little bit more stable. I've got two different broadbands. One's a 2.4 gigahertz, one's a 5 gigahertz. I've moved on to the 5 gigahertz, which is, for technical geeks out there, less stable but faster, and the 2.4 gigahertz is supposed to be the stable one. So I've swapped them over, and fingers crossed, second time around, all goes well. So far, so good, anyway. And apologies, sincere apologies for everyone who was with us for the start of the other one. I did check the broadband when I went off. It was lagging, so I swapped it over, and hopefully this one goes as planned. So, as I was saying beforehand, I'm not going to come on and say that I'm in any way displeased about the opening two games of the season. I'm over the moon about the opening two games of the season, as I'm sure you guys are. But tonight is about talking about transfers, and we do need to figure out what on earth is happening at the club on that front. We're going to discuss the Trent Alexander-Arnold situation, the Virgil van Dijk situation, and of course the Mohamed Salah one. We're going to ask what's going on with the Mamadashvili deal. We're going to speak about Trent. Does he have an attitude issue? Some people think people are making mountains out of molehills. Others think that, well, there is issues here. And the truth is, we're all trying to just read this from the outside, so we'll go through it all tonight over the course of the next 90 minutes. We're going to talk about Stefan Bajcetic as well. Some more talk of a loan move for him. This time Valencia have been linked. We're going to ask what's dragging on with this Mamadashvili deal as well. And whatever it is else that you guys would like to discuss, of course, I'm here to answer your questions. Right, so fingers crossed, so far so good on this one, take two. So look, as I said, I'm going to say some stuff tonight that's probably going to annoy some people watching. But as always, I'm going to try just give you my unfiltered, honest, sincere feeling about where we're at. With regards to Trent and the 72nd minute substitution, I have no issues with the manager making that change. I do have issues with Trent a little bit because I've watched more and more, and I've seen the part where Arne Slot spoke with him. I've seen him walking around the pitch at the end of the game. He doesn't look happy. Well, my honest response to that is, and I mean this from a loving place, tough shit. If the manager decides he wants to take you off, to rest you up, or for any other reason, that's his job. He makes the calls, and I think substituting Trent for the last 20 minutes of the last two games is good squad management. That's how I view the substitution part of it. Now, with regards to what happens from this point on, I don't know. You're all the same as me. We want Trent to stay. Of course we do. But he doesn't look the happiest we've ever seen him. I think that's fair enough to say. And I don't know if Trent had his head turned, and I don't know if Trent is going to be given an offer that he deems acceptable. But what we do know, my friends, is that in 5 days' time, this transfer window closes. And after that, we have between the end of the window and the start of the winter window to make sure that we sort out whatever the futures may be of Virgil, Mohamed and Trent. After that, it's just a guessing game. What we surely cannot allow to happen is Trent to waltz out the door on a free. And like I've said all the way through the summer and all the way before, every week and day and hour that goes by without Virgil, Mohamed and Trent being given a new deal, or at least offered one, the leverage shifts very much so in favour of the players, their representatives and whatever they want to do. So if we can take it for granted that Real Madrid are interested in Trent, and I think we can, then we have to try and figure out if that interest is reciprocated. If Trent feels like maybe now could be the time to leave Liverpool Football Club. And I don't know the answer to that. But to leave him go for free, which would be what's going to happen. Because if he's going to go to Real Madrid and he has his mind set on that, then there's nothing Liverpool are going to do between now and January that will change his mind. What we cannot allow to happen is the season be derailed by the contracts of the three players. And therein lies the problem with the club not sorting this out previously. So whatever it happens, with the best will in the world and the best intentions in the world, this is going to become a distraction. It just is. Virgil has saying basically that he's not being offered a new deal and he's calm about it, but there's been no talks. Trent, who is the one we should be most concerned about for obvious reasons. He's the youngest, he's the vice captain, he's coming into his prime. The idea of maybe losing him for free, that in itself should be a sackable offence for the board. That in itself should be a sackable offence for Edwards, Hughes, Ward and anybody else. There is no rhyme or reason to allowing this situation to get to this point. I can't read the future. I don't know what Trent does or doesn't do. But the idea, as I've mentioned, of letting that man join Real Madrid and us receiving no transfer fee, that is beyond stupid. There is no algorithm. There is no excuse. There is nothing other than stupidity on display from the club. Even if we get to the point where we could say Hughes doesn't want him at the club, and that's a big jump, because I don't know that to be the case. But even if the club have decided that Bradley's the future, I would still argue that letting a homegrown player leave for free is beyond stupid. You can make an argument around the Virgil and Mohamed Salah situations. The argument could be that you want to see how they get on this season. You want to make sure there's no drop-off before you maybe commit 2-3 year contracts. And most rational people can understand that. I absolutely want all three to stay. I've said it all the way through. The only options in this for me that are unacceptable is the possibility of these gents walking out the door for free. Because for a club that needs to bring in money and a club that needs to be self-financing, the idea of letting three of your best players stroll out the door for free, it's not very smart, is it? You can talk about getting high wages off the books, but you could get them high wages off the books with a transfer fee. I cannot even fathom the idea of Trent leaving for free. It will go down as one of the most embarrassing, idiotic things this club has ever done if it happens. Now, we know John is at Anfield today. What we don't know is, why is he there? Is he there to welcome in ARNE for his first home game? Is he there to talk to Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards, Julian Ward, Will Spearman, Arne Slot and the rest of the recruitment team? Well, we certainly hope so, because there are 5 days left in what has been the most disappointing, frustrating and angering transfer window I can remember under these owners. We've gone into the summer with, to use a phrase, hope in our hearts, believing that yes, the squad doesn't need major surgery, but it needs a couple of key personnel brought in. We've been led to believe that that was in hand, that the number 6, the centre-back and whatever other position were being sorted. Be patient, Liverpool will do their business in August. August is nearly over. 5 days, 1 hour, 52 minutes, as I say here, until the window slams shut. And Liverpool Football Club have only sold in this window. They're the facts as we see them laid out in front of us. It's up to you how you feel about that. And it's up to you whether you think we get stuff done over the next few days or not. But even if we do get deals done over the next few days, I've got to be honest and say it only feels like a reaction at this point rather than a plan. And that in itself is annoying. Nothing being done is unacceptable on every level, and we've got to be clear about that. Trent's job is to play football. Arnold's job is to manage the game. He needs to show a bit of maturity when he's taken off. I think that is a more than fair comment. Now, the manager even went to speak with Trent when he was taken off, to have a little word with him. And really, and I mean this sincerely, I don't understand why Trent's so upset. He came on, did his job, we kept a clean sheet, the game was in the bag, and the manager, knowing that Trent has had a shortened pre-season, decided to take him off and bring on Conor Bradley. And I don't see the problem with that. If it's planning for the future to make sure Conor Bradley, if Trent does leave, is ready to go, that's good planning. If it's to rest up Trent after a short pre-season and an international tournament, that's good planning. I don't see the reason why Trent might have the hump. I don't understand it. I can understand a player not wanting to be taken off. Of course we can. You know, no footballer wants to leave the pitch. But I just don't see what the big fuss is about it from his perspective. I did see the video of him walking around the pitch after the game, and he doesn't look happy. Now, he hasn't looked publicly happy since Klopp left. We've seen what leaving did to Trent for Klopp. It hurt him. You can see it in him. So that's where the fear has come into a lot of our thinking is he off? Does he want to move? And I don't know the answer to that. I don't think any of us can truly know the answer to that as we sit here now. But again, I'm going to ask, where's the planning in all of this? Where's the succession planning? Because even if the club didn't want Trent, and again, that's a big leap to make, letting him go for free does not make sense. He's on 200 grand a week, so about 10 million quid a year. And you're going to let him go for nothing? So that's where I'm at. If Trent is unhappy and wants to depart, well then just let us all know. You know, I'm sure he'll have those conversations. But it is also really important to remember that from that January window onwards, if he hasn't signed a new deal, can sign a pre-contract agreement, with Real Madrid or any club outside of the Premier League, and Liverpool can do nothing about it. He will not accept a sale in January. Why would he? Nor would Real Madrid, the proposed buying club, want to pay a fee for him when they know if they just sit tight they'll get him for nothing. The leverage is all with Trent and his representative. Every last bit of it. That's a fact. That's undeniable. The club, as Paul Joy said, have taken their eye off the ball on Trent, and it is going to be a massive, massive bone of contention for many Liverpool fans. David Massett said, clever from the manager with the subs. David, I'm right there with you, my friend. I think this is good squad management. And if taking Trent off with 20 minutes to go means that it prevents an injury or prevents Trent from being overplayed over the course of a season, I don't see what's wrong about that at all. I think that's clever. And if anything, I like this side of Arne Slot. I like that he is different from Jurgen in that regard. I like that he isn't afraid to make some difficult calls or put some people's noses out of joint. He's the manager. He is the law of the football club. He makes the calls. You don't like it, you know where the door is, and that applies to everybody. And that's how I see it. Truly, that's how I see it. It's his word. It's his job. He's the gaffer. Suck it up or go. And I know that sounds harsh, but truly, what we cannot have is an undercurrent or a frustration or anything festering in the background of the club. We cannot allow that to get into the dressing room. So if there is anybody that's unhappy, then the club have to make some difficult decisions and have to have some difficult conversations. And if that means leaving people out of the first team squad, then so be it as well. The team comes first. Results come first. The squad comes first over everything. So I don't know why Trent has the hump, but I do know who I'm backing, and that's the manager. JC Galvanil, thank you, mate, for gifting 5 Anfield Agenda memberships. Appreciate you. And again, Trent has a big game coming up next week against Manchester United at Old Trafford. So Arne giving him 20 minutes rest. Again, I just think it's good management. And also, he wants to get a look at Conor Bradley as well. He wants to make sure that Conor Bradley is okay should anything happen, or should he need to make a change. Nothing wrong with that. But I don't know what to read into his body language. I don't. That's for each of us to decide individually what you think you've seen. Ultimately, he's the fall guy if the players don't perform. 100%. I said this all the way through the summer. Arne Slot is going to be the one who gets judged in this scenario by results. Whatever we think about the squad depth or anything else, it's his neck that's on the line. He's the manager. It's always the manager that's the fall guy if there's any failure. So if he's making decisions that he thinks is in the best interests of the team, squad harmony or stability, then he has every single bit of my support. Don't think Trent's good enough for Madrid. Well, he is. Let's be fair. Like, Madrid, as Trent as a fullback with an attacking fullback would be a wet dream for Madrid. Let's be honest. Your ire and your frustration here, in my opinion, shouldn't be aimed at Trent. It shouldn't be aimed at ARNE Slot. All of your anger and frustration should be aimed squarely at the shoulders of Michael Edwards, Richard Hughes, John W. Henry, Tom Werner, and Mike Gordon. That's who you should be annoyed with here. That's my honest opinion on it. We can all decide whether we think it's right or wrong, but ultimately it's got to this point. And for it to get to this point, the club have shit the bed. I'm sorry, they have. Manager showing his strength, and I like that as well, Macca. Truly, I've been nothing but impressed with ARNE. He's not afraid to bite back at people. He's not afraid to make a tough call. He is putting his stamp on the team. I like it. I'm very, very impressed with what I've seen from the manager. That's me. That's how I feel. As I said, if you're annoyed about the situation, I get it. If you're scared at the possibility of losing Trent, I get it. But it's not ARNE's fault. Richard Hughes, Michael Edwards, and the owners. That's where your anger should be, because they're the ones who've let it get to this point. Now, on Georgi Mamardashvili, a bit of a weird one on this one. So the negotiations are still underway, but now there's apparently talk of a potential 2-year loan deal. So this report said Liverpool and Valencia are still negotiating over a deal for goalkeeper Georgi Mamardashvili. Liverpool are close to wrapping up a deal, but there's talk of whether he goes on loan for 1 campaign or 2 campaigns. And 1 I'm okay with. 2 seems a little bit far-fetched when we don't know what Caoimhín Kelleher's mid to long-term future is. So, if I'm Liverpool, I'm certainly not agreeing to the 2nd year right now. 1 year loan, and then we'll relook at it, or we'll reevaluate at the end of the campaign. There's also some talk that Stefan Bajcetic could be a player who could go on loan before the window closes over to Valencia, which again I don't think is a bad move. Same with Celta Vigo. Anywhere that Stefan can go, get minutes, get back up to speed, get to full fitness, I'm okay with that. I would like, on a selfish basis, to have a recall option in that, in case Liverpool need him over the course of the campaign. But yeah, that's my take on that situation as well. Can we stop with the nonsense about Trent, who said it being subbed, and if Trent does go, it's on the club? Yes. Again, I haven't said anything about Trent's mood after he was substituted, Stevie boy. I said, like I said on the watch-along, players should never be happy leaving the pitch, and I didn't see him being abusive to his manager, ignoring his manager, and I don't know what's going on in his head. So, in that regard, yes, I get you. But it is on the club. You're right. This whole situation is on the club. I don't know if Michael Edwards has decided to come in and clear the ranks of all the former old guard. I don't know. But it feels like that the harmony that we at least believed was there under Jurgen is a little bit a question now. And I don't know exactly how to get to the bottom of it, or what is at the bottom of it. All I can say to you is what I've said all summer. This has been an absolutely shambolic window where we've sold players, brought in money, embarrassed ourselves publicly by not getting Zubamendi, and have been manipulated and lied to again over transfers. That's where I'm at. I've warned about the Trent situation for a very, very long time. It is stupidity that we're in this position. But it's not going to change now. There are only 2 real options here right now. New deal or Trent goes for free. They are the only options. Real Madrid aren't going to pay a fee in January, nor should we be stupid enough to lose them in the January market. So, whatever one you think happens, we'll wait and see. I don't know what happens. I hope Trent stays, but again, the club put themselves in this position. No players bigger than the club. Slot is ruthless. Trent needs to throw the dummy away. There is no I in team. So look, again, I'm not going to go in on Trent because I don't know what the situation is. I don't know why Trent might have the hump. I have the hump that we're in this contract position with 3 really important players. So that's where I'm at. Trent did his job today, went out there, was part of the team that kept a clean sheet and was substituted. That on its own, I don't really think too much about that. But the fact that we don't know what happens with Trent, Mo and Virgil is really, really concerning. Ryan, how are you, Ryan? Said, love Slots management so far. Transfer failures lies with Hughes and Edwards. I had such hopes with Edwards back. Completely messed up. So, here's the thing for me, Ryan, right? In this window, we didn't know the targets as fans, nor should we, quite frankly. But Zubamendi came out, and it didn't come out from the club briefing journalists. It came out because somebody figured it out, or somebody from the other side leaked it, and it became public. And when it became public, we then showed ourselves up to be naive, to say the least. But that's it. That's all we've known. We've never heard a concrete name at centre-back. Not once. We've never heard an alternative option at number 6. Nor have we really heard about a forward. So whatever it is that they're doing in this transfer window, they're not doing it well enough. That's where I'm at. We've sold players, and on the face of it, you can argue they're good deals. To get £20 to £25 million for Sepp van den Berg, it's good business. It is. To get the money for Fabio Carvalho, it's good business. But to not reinvest and bring another centre-back in is embarrassing. I've also heard and seen a lot of hypocrisy in this transfer window. 1 minute, they're briefing that they want a defender who's going to come in, not expect to start every game, and be a future fixture at the club. A younger centre-back. Then, Lenny Yoro comes up, and all of a sudden, we don't want to pay him 140 grand a week, even though he could be at the club for 8-9 years. We walk away, and we again don't seem to have any alternative. And on top of that, we were told very clearly, the club were briefing to say that Yoro was one of these potentially opportunistic deals. That he wasn't in the club's vision and wasn't the centre-back that the club were looking for, but he came up and Liverpool would keep an eye on it. We were also told that if Real Madrid didn't sign, Liverpool would be there to capitalise. We did neither. We sat around and then we circle-jerked with Real Madrid thinking, oh, aren't we both so clever? We didn't pay for the kid. We didn't want to give him the money. Real Madrid didn't want to do it for a very clear and obvious reason. They've brought in a load of players and their wage bill is humongous. They've brought in Bellingham, Mbappe, Endrick. We, on the other hand, why didn't we sign the young centre-back that we very clearly need in the squad? Because we're tight and the owners are cheap. Now, even if he wasn't the target, the whole aspect of us waiting in the wings has once again proven to be absolute horseshit. Because we could have signed him. Real Madrid were unwilling to pay a fee. They wanted to get him for nothing. We had a chance. We didn't take it. We were lied to again. That is not up for debate in my mind. Then we don't have any centre-back targets that we know of in this window. Not one. You've seen every journalist under the sun talk about movement behind the scenes, talking with agents, expecting Liverpool to be busy, blah, blah, blah. But have you seen one of them name an actual player that we want? Nope. So for me, this is rinse repeat all over again. Manipulate and lie through the whole window. Get the journalists to keep the fans' hope high. When it doesn't happen, there will be a reason, there will be an excuse, and there will be a promise of more stuff down the line. I've never believed it. I'm never going to believe it. Actions speak louder than words. To quote themselves, FSG, under promise and over deliver. You've done fucking nothing. Where is the money, John? Sincerely, where is it? Because if the plan was always going to be that Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards wouldn't have had enough time to put their stamp on the transfer side of things, then say that. Don't manage fans' emotions by getting them all hyped up, believing there's going to be 2 or 3 signings and then feel let down when there's none. Be honest and say, we're probably going to be quiet in this window. If something pops up, we'll have a look at it, but they need more time. They need more time to put the backroom staff together, to run over the transfer lists and to get the deals in place. And I think most people would have at least understood the thought process. Might not have agreed with it, but would have understood where they were coming from. Right now, we just feel, well, I certainly just feel lied to and manipulated again. Trent was sulking, but the anger should be with FSG. You don't leave a top player's contract get to the last 12 months. 100% agree. 100% agree. And again, we've done it with 3 of them. These guys who are supposed to be very good with the numbers, are supposed to be leaders in their industry, took their eye off the ball, and we allowed this situation to happen. Now, with 2 older players, Mohamed and Virgil, there is an argument to talk about not throwing good money after bad. There's an argument to talk about, are they still worth the wages they're being paid? We'll all have our own view on that. I think both of them are. I think both of them should be offered an extension. I don't think Mohamed should be given more money. But if he took similar money again, 2 years more, no problem. Same with Virgil. But if the club view differently, I understand that. They're getting older. But with Trent, again, I come back to it just being stupidity. You could have got a big transfer fee. If you decided you didn't want them, or maybe he was giving the indications that he wanted to move on, this could have been dealt with a long time ago. He could have been offered a contract and then it's over to him. If he turns it down, then they've got a PR win. If they don't, it's just going to look stupid. Right now, we look stupid. Ebad said, the annoying thing is that we know the money is there. Of course. So last year we had a big net spend of 90 million. That's a big net spend for us, by the way. And it feels like this summer so far they've been recouping as much of that as possible. It's just frustrating as hell, bro. It's frustrating as hell. Always a red, thank you so much for your super chat, mate. That's very kind of you. Said, first off, great game. Makes for a good Sunday. I agree on that one. It's always lovely to see the Reds win. It makes the weekend. Regarding transfers, I've truly given up hope. To say anything other than it's not good enough would be a plain lie. Keep on keeping it real. Look, I'm used to being mocked, mate. I'm used to being ridiculed by certain aspects of our fans who think, without knowing me, that I am just a loudmouth or that I do these things for effect. None of these people watch my content. If they did, they'd understand that, at least my perspective on these things. And I will keep being honest because I believe in honesty. I believe in being forthright with people, even if they don't like what you're saying. So, you are absolutely 100% spot on. This window cannot be dressed up as anything other than a failure on many levels. It is horseshit. And to think we might still lose Joe Gomez between now and 11 o'clock on Friday makes my blood boil. Ryan said, lies, lies and more lies, both from FSG and journos. Be honest, we're not idiots. FSG need to get out. I'm done with transfer windows under them. I hope, I really, really hope that people keep track of what some journalists have said during this window. I really, really hope that they remember. Because I've lost a lot of respect for some journalists. The top one being James Pearce. It's a simple thing, but I can't believe he wrote it. To hear James Pearce say that as it stands, Liverpool have no plans to sign a goalkeeper in this window, when everybody, and I assume he, knew very differently, I find that really difficult to take. Because I have a lot of respect for James Pearce. He's always been a great journalist for fans. He's always been really open. He's always been approachable. But that is just an absolute lie. And I can't say otherwise with a clear conscience. And I say that from a place of immense respect for James. But that is bullshit. And to say it, write it, and think that people are going to believe it, that is appalling. On top of that, Romano has been talking absolute pony the whole window. Every single time I've seen a quote from that lad, it's been, Liverpool are working on it. Liverpool will be busy. Liverpool are talking with agents. Liverpool. What have we done? Absolutely nothing. But he's got another window where he's creamed in the money and absolutely manipulated the shit out of fans. It's up to you what journalists you have faith in. But for me these days, I don't know who's on the club side, who's parroting the club's opinions, but I do know that it doesn't smell right. It really does not smell right. And I'm fucking sick of it, quite frankly. I'm sick of our fans being manipulated by people that should know better. The people that are usually better than this. We're one injury away from being in trouble, said David Massett. And David, to move on from what you've said a bit, that in lies with the frustration that we're all feeling, because we've got 2 wins from 2. We like what we're seeing from ARNE. We know that with those 1 or 2 additions, this team could be the real deal. And that only adds to the frustration. If we were 2 games in, a draw and a loss, looking wobbly, you would think, okay, maybe they just want to get a read of the team a bit more. But we're close. We know that we're going to have an injury or 2. We know that that's going to come down the line. And the answer is going to be, how do we solve the problem when it happens? And right now, unfortunately, we don't have the depth. We don't have the quality to come in and back up. And we also have to look to the future to see what does happen with Mohamed, with Virgil and with Trent. And they're going to have to be replaced as well. So kicking the can down the road means next month we need what? 5 or 6 world-class top-level signings? And we couldn't get 1 done in this window? That's where I think, David, a lot of people's frustrations come from. It's because they know with 1 or 2, we could win this league, or at least be a realistic contender. I've seen Arsenal and Man City's first 2 games. Not overly impressed with either of them. If that's me being honest, I've seen better versions of that Man City team. But while Haaland's fit, they're going to score goals. But will he stay the whole season fit? And will the 115 charges destabilise them a bit? I believe so. Arsenal, well, the pressure's mounting on them. Because now there's an expectation. Mikel Arteta's done a fine job. They've done some good recruitment. They're building a very good team. They can win games in all kind of ways. And yes, sometimes they ride their luck like they did against Aston Villa. But they won. And that will carry on. But they have to win something. They have to. You can't invest the amount of money that's been invested there and not expect to be questioned if you don't deliver one of the big 2. So there's an opportunity there for us. And I just don't feel like we're walking through the door. I feel like we're sitting back and just watching. And that's why I'm frustrated. Because it's easy for an owner to write off a season and talk about the future. Because they're in it for the profit, the investment. Fans can't keep writing off seasons. How many seasons did we have to write off under Jurgen because of a lack of real transfer activity? How many more trophies might we have had under Jurgen if he had the squad depth? There's nothing more annoying as a fan than feeling like you're that close, and you're not seeing the support for the manager. And that's what makes it worse for me. If there was no hope, and we were like, if we were like United right now, I'd be like, probably not best to throw good money at bad at this point. But we're not. We've shown that ARNE has something about him. We've shown that he will make difficult calls. We've shown that we can win. So give him what he needs and sit back and see what happens. But don't expect us to believe that we're going to replace Trent, Virgil, Mohamed and bring in signings in the next window or 2. Because that simply is not going to happen. Queen Nadra said, I don't like Trent's attitude. He played 70 minutes for his own good. What if he gets injured? Plus we have United next week. So, in its own context, Queen Nadra, a player getting the hump about being taken off, I don't really mind too much. But when you add into that, what's going to be written and the narrative is going to be, that's when it becomes a problem. So if Trent had 4 years left on his deal and he was a bit annoyed today getting taken off, I think we kind of laugh it off a little bit and we go, not great, but sure, hey. But when you add in the fact that we know at the back of our minds that there could be more to this about his future, that's when it becomes concerning. And that's when it could become a distraction. And again, we want positive vibes. We want good work around the club. We want the players, the manager to feel fulfilled, backed, and to have a good environment to work in. These are problems that are going to come over the course of the season. This season has the potential to be destabilised because of Virgil, Mohamed and Trent situations. And if the club can't see that, then they're only fooling themselves. Because it's going to get to a point where the frustration, the vitriol and the anger is going to spill over. Because fans aren't idiots. And these players deserve to know their futures. They deserve and should have the respect of the club to give them an honest decision on what they're going to do. If you don't want to give them new deals, then fucking tell them you don't want to give them new deals. But stringing everybody along is just manipulation, and there is where the anger comes from. Be honest, be upfront, treat people like adults, and you will probably find that there'll be a lot more understanding about the situation. But lying, manipulating and tell us that what we're seeing isn't true, that's where the frustration comes from, particularly with me. Benjamin said, hello Craig, why are people overreacting with Trent? I just see a bloke like VVD who's been messed about. To me it's clear Trent wants to stay, it's just money, I expect him to stay. So, as I said, Benjamin, earlier on, if you're angry about this situation as a fan, let that anger be aimed at the owners and the sporting director and Michael Edwards. I agree with you entirely. Trent deserves to know what's going on. Virgil deserves to know what's going on. Mohamed deserves to know what's going on. They've earned that right. They should be far further along with their futures being sorted than they are right now. Right now, I don't know what these lads are getting paid for. Edwards, Hughes, Spearman, Ward, what are they doing? Because this is not a good look for the football club. This is not you'll never walk alone. This is not we look after and treat our players better. This is taking people for granted. Trevi85 said, you can't get better staying the same, go get talent. Absolutely. Look, mate, I think we'll all agree coaching can improve players. I think we all agree on that one. But you are right, and there's something to be said for continuity as well. Keeping a group together can be important. But every manager you'll have ever seen, Trevi, including Jurgen, said that 1 or 2 additions every year is good for morale, it's good for competition, it's just good to freshen things up. And if they knew they weren't going to be able to get the work done in this window, then that's what should have been briefed to journalists. That Liverpool aren't expecting to do much in this window. And yes, then you can talk about opportunism, but every single journalist has been told or briefed all the way through 3 signings. 3. Centre-back, midfield, forward. Everyone I know that has spoken to the club has always got the feeling that they're the 3 positions. And we've done nothing. We didn't even keep Sepp Vandenberg as a potential 5th choice backup. The reason we have Nat Phillips still at the club became apparent to me the other day when somebody showed me that he was on £65,000 a week. Now, he's in the last year of his deal, and of course nobody's going to sign him when they'd have to give him that money, or the club would have to pay it out. So that is just a matter of time till his contract runs down. He isn't good enough to play for Liverpool long term, we all know that. So that's why he's still around. So let's not use him as the, well, he can be the 5th choice centre-back argument, because he's not good enough. You know it, I know it, he knows it. Now the Joe Gomez one, that surprised me the other day. I said to David Lynch, what do you think's going to happen? Expecting what I was thinking. Surely the club wouldn't be stupid enough to sell Joe Gomez. Well, I don't know as of right now what's happening with Joe Gomez. But I do know that I have no faith in us replacing Joe Gomez and adding another centre-back in one window when we've done nothing and there's 5 days to go. 5 days to go. I look at Joe Gomez as being like 1.5 players because of his versatility. So if you take him out of a defence, you're not just losing a centre-back. You're losing a left-back, a right-back and a centre-back. And experience and likeability. It's just not good enough. It has been a disgusting window. And I don't like being on here talking about this when we've won today. But we have to, because it's the end of the window. John's over. Hopefully he's over to try and get something going here, because a couple of signings late in the window that we're all happy with would be a very good end to the window. But as of right now, we can't say with any confidence that we think it's going to happen. Craig, although we spent 90 million net last year, don't forget the wages we got off the books. Firmino, Hendo, Milner, Keita, Ox and Fabinho. We also got rid of Thiago and Matip. We have money. Look, my friend, you're never going to hear me arguing with somebody who believes the club has money to spend, because I believe the club has money to spend. And you're right. I'm just giving you perspective of how other people have reacted to me when this window's gone on. We did save 18.7 million by getting rid of Thiago's contract, Adrian's contract and Matip's contract. And that's before, as you've correctly said, we spoke about the Hendersons of this world and whatnot, who were fairly high earners. We did bring in some good players in the last window, but we didn't address centre-back. And that position needs to be addressed. And we haven't. We made a fool of ourselves going for Zubamendi, who'd rather stay with a bang-average Sociedad team, playing in not even full stadiums, playing in an inferior league, than come to Liverpool. And the public knew that. It's not good enough. If Trent loves the club and intends to stay, it's the easiest thing in the world to just come out and say so. If he's not doing that, ... You could flip that though the other way around as well. And I am just playing devil's advocate here, to say if the club loves Trent and values him so much as the young local boy, why have they not started a negotiation with him over a new contract and allowed somebody who apparently is a senior pro at the club, is a vice captain and is idolised? So if I'm Trent and I haven't been offered a new deal, now, we don't know why Trent hasn't been offered a new deal. Maybe Trent's representative said they wanted to see what the new manager situation was. And then, of course, he has the Euros. So maybe they've kicked the can down the road a bit to keep their options open. We don't know this as fans. But we've not heard anything to say that any of these lads have been actually given an offer. And that's unforgivable. That guy... And thank you, mate. By the way, do keep hitting that like button for me. Remember, we have to try and keep up this crazy run of 1,000 likes on our live streams. We've 2,000 people in the chat. We've 357 likes. If you want us to help us keep this streak going, don't forget, do hit that like button. That guy said, why would anyone who's talented want to join or stay at this team? When the owners show no ambition, these fans need to be vocal and call for FSG out. So let's look at the worst case scenario, mate, that might happen over the next few months. It becomes clear that Virgil, Trent and Mohamed are going to move on. So let's just talk that way for 1 sec. So then next summer, we've got to replace one of the greatest goal scorers in the history of the club, one of the greatest centre-backs in European football, and a local boy who can play in a whole host of positions and can split defences open with a pass. And we will have got not one red cent for any of them. But yeah, we have to go out into the market to replace these world-class players with more world-class players. And that is going to cost a lot of money. And knowing that you might have to do this, you think maybe a couple of these boys may have been sold to try and bring money in. But no, we turned down 150 million quid last year from Mo, which we can argue about one way or the other, whether we think it's the right decision or not. But to turn that down and know you're going to lose him for free is the height of stupidity. Trent Alexander-Arnold, at least not being offered a new deal publicly, is the height of stupidity. If you want to play the PR game, then give him an offer. If he doesn't accept it, it's very easy for the club to go, we tried. And with Virgil coming off a Premier League Team of the Year season, statistically one of his best campaigns, showing that he's fully recovered from that ACL, captain of the football club, somebody who undoubtedly has 2 or 3 years left at the top, not being offered a new deal. How is that a good look? How is anybody supposed to believe that these lads are respected by the higher ups at the club? Truthfully, how? Because I wouldn't in their shoes. I would be absolutely fuming if I hadn't been offered a new deal at Liverpool and I was the club captain. It's a little bit different with Mo, Because we don't know if Mo wants to go off and play in Saudi or the MLS. We don't know. So there's always been an acceptance on that front. And I would say as well, Mohamed deserves and has earned the right. One thing it's important to point out here is that when a professional football player signs a contract, we expect them to honour that contract. And every one of these three gentlemen will have honoured what they signed on for. So they've done their bit, but the club haven't done their bit. And whether that's replacing them, rewarding them with new deals, or at least being honest about their future, that's a massive failure in my eyes. So this is how the club treats club legends. Exactly. Exactly. And we didn't learn the lesson with Steven Gerrard when we nearly lost him to Chelsea. And at least at that time we would have gotten a fee. You've said it well, Jordan. This is how the club treats legends. Legends. And they are. All three of them. European Cup winners. Premier League winners. Twice League Cup winners. FA Cup winners. Club World Cup winners. Super Cup winners. Legends. So that's why these owners do my head in. Because I know and you know that that's not how you treat legends. Even if it's with honesty. Even if it is a difficult conversation. You sit down, you look them in the eye, and you give them your side of it. And you tell them if you think their time is up. But what's happening right now is just bullshit. Benjamin said, Trent is a living legend. Stop direct aggression against our boys, Craig, is correct. This is FSG's fault. John W. Henry, moron is in England, and I expect a PR stunt, good or bad. This is consistent behaviour. Even look at Jurgen. Go back and watch when Jurgen was leaving and show me that John looked like he gave a damn. The fans did. The players did. You and I did. The emotion was palpable. But remember, these nerds remove emotion from decision making, which they probably view as always a good thing. But sometimes emotions are important. But you know what's even more important? Respect. They've shown me and this channel no fucking respect. They've shown Trent, Virgil and Salah no respect. And that's unacceptable. John Henry is so tight when he squeaks when he walks. A little bit of WD-40, he'll be grand. Got a feeling they're going to sign Rabiot, and says it all with this one signing. If they sign Adrian Rabiot, truly, you will have. You think you've seen me angry? If we end up signing Adrian Rabiot in this window, you will see a whole different anger from me, because I know we've turned down the opportunity to sign him many times for clear and obvious reasons why. So I hope we aren't that stupid, because he'd be coming in on money that we wouldn't be paying Trent. He'd want at least 200 grand a week. And we won't give that money to a vice captain who's in his prime. Demon Jedi Gaming said, it's only going to cost money if they intend to go out and sign world-class players. Maybe the plan is to bring in youngsters or budget alternatives. Do I believe they're going to go out and bring in a world-class right winger, a world-class centre-back and a world-class full-back? No. I believe they're going to roll the dice on what they think will become a next world-class midfielder, or world-class centre-back, world-class right winger and world-class right-back. And that, like any transfer, is a risk. But I don't have the faith that they're going to do it all and fix what they didn't do in this window, in one window. So next year we could be looking at needing 2 centre-backs, a central midfielder, 2 right wingers, because remember, Mo has no competition at the minute, and maybe a right back. That is a lot to do for a club that don't like to spend money, let alone the fact that the world will know we need to replace those people. So where's the succession planning? We've all been quick, and rightly so, to praise the club for the Mamardashvili situation, planning ahead for Alisson's future. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But where's the succession planning to allow Mane to go for a mere 30 million? To allow Bobby to walk out the door for free? Where's the succession planning? Where's the plan to bring in a replacement for Gini Wijnaldum? These things have been clear and obvious to many of us for many years. But we constantly get undermined by whoever it is that are brainwashed by these owners. I don't know who these people are. But I don't believe they're true Liverpool fans. I don't. Because nobody, and I mean nobody, can look at this club as it's been run and think that the owners have done everything. We laugh and mock Todd Bowley, and rightly so. But Todd Bowley's already signed 10 players, spent 1.3 billion. Is even looking at maybe bringing in Jadon Sancho. I think it's laughable the way he's gone about it. But nobody can say at least he's not ambitious. At least he's not trying to do something. All we get is arrogance. We get told how clever and super these guys are, how great businessmen they are, how they've brought the club to a new place commercially. But not once have we seen the benefit of that. Not once. Where's our superstar signings? Where's our generational talents? Where's being able to go head to head with other big clubs for top talent? All the things we were told we could do, but have never done. So this, to me, is the culmination of years of manipulation and lies and bullshit. This is why you don't get the opportunity on mainstream media, Craig. You speak the truth. I cannot enjoy any game right now when we have 3 players out of contract, a thin squad, young players going. Mate, I know. And I've said it so many times, Benjamin. I am not a stupid man. I am well aware that my life could be a lot more financially rewarding and a lot more easygoing if I told the company line. But I have to look in the mirror. I have to look at my kids. And I can't be like these others who stick their fingers in their ears. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should be taking the easy route. Maybe I should be playing the game. But it isn't who I am. I am blunt, for want of a better phrase. That is just how I'm wired. And if I see bullshit and smell bullshit, I'm going to call it out. No matter how it impacts me, I have to call it out. And the media, some of the journalists, and certainly some of my fellow content creators are delusional. Absolutely delusional. To talk about other Liverpool fans having transfer hysteria? Imagine looking down your nose at your fellow fans and talking about transfer hysteria when you're the only club in Europe's top leagues that hasn't signed a damn player. But yet you've seen young talented players sold out from under us. Bobby Clark gone. Fabio Carvalho gone. Sepp van den Berg gone. No replacements. Bragging about saving 18.5 million in wages, no replacements. Bragging about Nike deals, no money in. But these are the people that are rewarded with opportunities that you and I and other fans could only dream of. For doing what? Being inauthentic? Playing the game? Here's how I think. I don't like the game. I don't like the rules. So I'm going to kick the fucking door down and make my own game where I make the rules. Because you can shun us all you want, but we aren't going away, and we're growing, and our reach is growing. And the club should recognise that and stop sticking their fingers in their ears and refusing to engage with people who sincerely are trying to engage with the club about the landscape of media and the landscape of a lack of real representation for anybody with a dissenting voice. If you surround yourself with yes men and sycophants, then you have problems. You should be challenged, questioned, always. You should be held to account, particularly when you're the custodian of one of the greatest clubs in European football. You don't get to just waltz through doing whatever the fuck you want and not get called out on it. Queen Nadra. Craig, our fan base is divided. There are some who support FSG blindly. Yeah, but my problem with them is they won't converse with us. They won't have a conversation about why we're wrong. I will explain my perspective to anyone who listen, and I will listen to other people's views. I'm not closed-minded. I'm open to being corrected and have my mind changed. But you have to be able to converse with somebody. So I know I keep coming back to the emails we sent the club, but just think about it from an outside perspective. So the club may have this vision of this channel as being a mouthy, over-the-top, aggressive, anti-owners stance. Spend an hour watching the channel. Just spend an hour watching the stream and tell me that everything we speak about isn't at least common sense. You have never heard me talk about FSG funneling money out of the club. You've never talked or heard me talking about flying banners over the club to say FSG out. You've never seen it happen. You've seen me call out what I think are absolutely fair lack of spending in transfer windows from owners who claim to want to win. But they won't interact with us. They won't converse with us. They won't even acknowledge that we exist. Why? If somebody has a dissenting voice in life, when has ignoring them ever, and I'm talking about a whole section of our fan base here now, not just us, when has that ever worked out well? Look at the mass immigration stuff around the world right now. When has not conversing with citizens ever helped the situation not escalate into rows or into blood on the streets? Never. Man up, front up, and have the difficult conversations. Be honest with your fans, the customers who pay their goddamn money to keep the club afloat, and stop taking everyone for mugs. That's all I've ever asked. Ryan said, no thinking ahead, no thought. How can we replace 6 players next season? Rebuild again? Well, all we need is 2-3 quality signings each window, and we be consistently competitive. No ambition, no love for us, the fans. No, and I've said this before as well. Some of these fans who we assume are season ticket holders, because again, I don't know who these top reds are in the real world. I've only ever seen them online. But the irony is that these owners would get rid of every season ticket tomorrow if they thought they could get away with it very easily, because season ticket holders don't spend money. Understandably, but from a business perspective, answer me this. Is it better to have 60,000 fans inside the stadium who bring sandwiches and flasks of tea with them? Or is it better to have 60,000 fans inside the stadium who buy merchandise, go into the club shop, have their hot dogs, drink their Diet Cokes or whatever, and get their concessions? From a business perspective, of course, the second option is the better one. But football isn't like that. You can't just wipe away a group of fans who've shown loyalty, but they do it in a heartbeat. Same way they were willing to sign us all up for a Super League that nobody was consulted on. And we were just told factually it's happening because they've said so. The detective said Anfield Agenda equals best fan channel on YouTube. Look, we are only what we are because of our audience. And as I said all the way through, lads, I hate this divisiveness. I hate it. But nothing annoys me more in life than people thinking they're better than other people and looking down their noses at people just because they don't think they're on the same level intellectually as them. Again, if we're wrong on everything we say about these owners, if we're wrong about the financials and the availability of money, then what good is ignoring us going to do? Explain it to us. Sit us down and tell us why we're wrong. And I promise you, if I'm convinced I'm wrong, I will be on here explaining exactly why I think I'm wrong and why I'm going to put my hands up. But ignoring us ain't going to make it any better. It's just going to make us grow in number. It's just going to make us more determined to double down on our views. It's going to make us more determined to ram that ignorance back down your throats. That's how I work. That's how I'm wired as a human being. It's the same reason why that other coward, that other specimen of a fella the United stand. It's the same reason when he sent those legal letters. I wasn't cowering down or trying to hide. I told him very fucking quickly how that was going to end. Him and his solicitor. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of these people. All of them. Taking us all for idiots. Telling us that what we're seeing isn't true. Every tackle going to be a worry this season. Thanks, FSG. Yes, we're 1 or 2 injuries away. Remember, go back to last week, Ipswich Town, half time. All of us frightened that Jarell Quansah was out with an injury. Now, thankfully, it was a tactical substitution. Curtis Jones, again today, out for a game. Everyone wondering again, do we have squad depth? What's going on there? And it's going to happen over the course of a season. Same way it happened every other season. It's just a matter of how bad and how many injuries we're going to get. Trent showed today he wants to be at the club. I'm worried that Trent did today. The owners, they are hanging the club and their manager out to dry. Trent showed today he wants to be at the club. I'm not worried what Trent did today. The owners, they're hanging the club and the manager out to dry. It's impossible to say why Trent's frustrated. It's impossible. But it's not impossible to figure out that he mightn't feel loved or appreciated by a club that haven't offered him a new deal. That guy said, thanks to whoever gifted me a membership. It may have been Brian. Brian gifted 50 during the watch along earlier on, mate. And again, thank you to Brian for that one. I wish you were a multi-billionaire and bought the club from these Americans. Honest to God, I've nearly stopped watching football at points under these owners because it has drove me around the twist. On top of the fact that many of us get mocked for being ambitious. Like, I've said this so many times. You all grew up, no matter what age you are, with stories of Liverpool's past. With stories of Phil Thompson, Graham Souness, Crazy Horse, lifting European Cups, Liverpool existing to win trophies. Success, success, success. Domination, on the perch, the whole lot of it. And then when we dare show ambition, we're mocked and told that we're like kids who don't understand how the real world works, that it's FIFA and fantasy management stuff, for wanting what other clubs are able to do. And we're supposed to be one of the most valuable sports teams in the world, and yet we're being run like a top tier championship team, and we're supposed to be grateful for that. I'm grateful for Jurgen. The one thing I think these owners definitely got right, and even then I'm angry that they didn't give the man the backing they should have. Stevie Kirkman said, just remember, it's the 25th of August and 0 signings. Enough is enough now. Sydney said, team looks strong. Team looks good. As I said, mate, we're not that far away. And we're all delighted. We're 2 games in, 2 clean sheets, 2 wins. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But to me, mate, all that means is it's going to be even more hurtful when the inevitable happens. When the injuries come and the squad depth isn't there and we lose 1 or 2 big games and the season starts to fall away a bit and we end up 3rd or 4th. All I'm going to feel is, imagine if we had got the signings. Imagine if we had a centre-back. Imagine if we had a midfielder. So I don't want to go through another season of almosts, nearlies and close calls. And in every one of these seasons that I'm speaking about, I can point to a lack of squad depth. I can point to a lack of talent coming off the bench to change games. Go all the way back to we lost that first final to Real Madrid. Look who was coming off the bench. If my memory's right, it was an unfit Adam Lallana, and no real options to replace Mo. Fast forward all these years later, and not once, at any point in their tenure of this football club, do I remember Mohamed Salah having competition on the right-hand side. Not once. Not once do I remember Virgil van Dijk having competition. So, they can coast through a season if they want. We're relying on their professional ambition to show up every week. Not the fear of losing the shirt. And top clubs should be competitive environments. Mohammed said I missed his super chat. I did, Mohammed. Sorry, mate. 1 second, bro. Let me bring this back up for you. Craig, is it detrimental that we've won our first 2 games for the no new signing situation? In a weird way, Mohammed, I feel like it could be, because people are going to be lulled into a sense of security. I feel a false sense of security. And it'll certainly help for the owners to think, well, we've navigated through the start of the season. 2 wins from 2. The window's going to be closed before we go to Old Trafford next week. So from their perspective, they probably feel like they've navigated another transfer window. And that's what kicking the can down the road has always done for them. July, be patient. August, it's going to happen. Mid-August, don't worry, we're still working on it. End of August, nothing. So, Mohammed, potentially, mate, yes. Because no flaws have been exposed yet. And I do apologise, mate, for missing your initial super chat. Marcus said, Bill Shankly once said, my idea was to build Liverpool into a bastion of invincibility. Napoleon had that idea. He wanted to conquer the bloody world. I wanted Liverpool to be untouchable. Yes, and we're up against some very, 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 very wealthy people in this Premier League. Aston Villa's owners are incredibly wealthy. Manchester City's owners, incredibly wealthy. Newcastle's owners, incredibly wealthy. Manchester United's owners, say what you want about them, and there is a lot, but they've backed their managers every single window. Money, money, money. Not so much with us. I don't know another single fan base who would accept sporting directors doing nothing and think it's good. Look how quickly United sporting director worked when he got in the door. Dan Ashworth, is that his name? Look how quickly he worked and how many things have gotten done. And we're supposed to be leaning on the relationships with agencies that these guys have. That's supposed to be our strength here, is the knowledge and relationships with agents. Where has that been the whole summer? How has that benefited us? Queen Nadra said, I don't know why our fan base is asleep. We should protest against FSG. Because some of them feel sincerely like everything's okay. Some of them will think, well, this is better than the Hodgson era. And I understand that. But standing still's never been good. Not in sport. Not when you are constantly hearing about the 1 or 2%, bringing in AI to try and figure out set pieces, you know, doing things with goalkeepers about having the peripheral vision blocked off with goggles and having their sensory issues not overloaded and making them focus on what they're doing. All these minor things, Thomas Granquist, the throw-in coach, all these minor things are what makes a difference in sport. But, like I've always said, the idea of a new signing coming through the door would have galvanised the fan base. The goodwill would have been incredible. And I've no doubt the shirt sales would have matched. So what good is having this great deal with Nike where we get 20% on top of the 30 million if we're not getting in any new superstars to sell the shirts? Or if the fans can't dream? Righteous Gamer. And by the way, folks, we need 431 likes. So if you can, please do hit that like button for me. Do FSG not understand their tickets and shirt sales generate them millions and they have the cheek to not listen to the fans? We need new owners. There's a very simple answer to that, in my opinion. They don't care. When you hear the phrase that Michael Edwards is not going to listen to the outside noise and pressure, what do you hear? You might hear that he's not going to make a signing for the sake of it. What I hear is they know best. Just like Jurgen, who told us all season, we don't need a midfielder. We don't need a midfielder. How can we improve on Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and the other midfielders? We don't need a midfielder. Until we did. And he said, oh, we do. And what was our solution? Arthur Melo. Now, I don't know who was crunching the numbers that day. And I don't know which genius came up with the idea that Arthur Melo was going to save our season. But it was the height of stupidity. And Liverpool didn't even want the option to buy in the loan deal because they already knew that Arthur Melo wasn't going to cut it. When we needed a centre-back, and it was very clear that we needed a centre-back, what did these cheap fuck owners do? Ozan Kabak and Ben Davies. And again, we're supposed to believe they're ambitious. The one time that they've really spent money and attacked the transfer window is the one time Barcelona were stupid enough to give us a load of money for Felipe Coutinho. And that's why you got Alisson and Van Dijk. Carl said, don't worry, we'll spend big in January. Yeah, that'll be the promise. Until January comes and we'll be told it's not a market where there's good value. We don't want to act in desperation. Clubs don't want to sell their best players halfway through a season. Jurgen didn't have 100% backing and did an amazing job. I believe ARNE can do the same, but FSG make it so difficult for them to succeed. Yeah, and look how exhausted Jurgen felt and looked at the end of it all. Mark Harding said, it could be FSG want to do things their way. Klopp was not a yes man. That might explain him going. I hope Slot is not a scapegoat. It seems Klopp and John W. Henry was a battle of personalities that Henry won. So, absolutely, FSG could want to do things their way. And there's nothing wrong with having a strategy and executing it. But the strategy of not executing anything, not spending any money, not strengthening your team, not giving contracts to 3 superstars who've helped you build this £4.5 billion valuation of a football club from success on the pitch. I don't understand what the plan is there. I don't understand. I don't understand what FSG and their way is. Because it seems to be lie about being able to sign generational talent, lie about having money to compete for top signings, lie to the media, lie to the fans, and then, I don't know, shrug your shoulders when it all goes tits up. See, this I don't agree with. This I've never agreed with, and I'm going to try and explain why. So you've said it seems FSG use our club as a cash cow for his beloved baseball team. There's a couple of things about that. One, truly, I don't believe 1 cent leaves Liverpool Football Club for elsewhere in their portfolio. I don't believe that 1 cent leaves the club. But also, I also don't believe that their beloved baseball team are feeling that beloved. I believe their fan base aren't very happy about their Bostonian owners, who have seen their club rinsed and stripped of a lot of the talented, high-earning players for a rebuild that has not gone very well. Now, I don't understand baseball that well, but I've spoken to enough Red Sox fans or Bostonians that don't have many good things to say about John W. Henry. Demon Jedi Gaming said, Devil's Advocate, stuff we don't like, agreed, but aside from a Gulf state, is there any better option? Don't want an ex-Mike Ashley. So, I would say as well, like you've said, it doesn't always have to be an extreme end of any ownership spectrum, right? So you could have the Gulf state foreign-backed entity that wants to come in and sports wash or make themselves look good. You could have the other end of the spectrum where you've got a Mike Ashley who won't spend Christmas. Or you could have FSG who just are willing to be a bit more bold in the market. And that, for me, is their biggest problem. If they just spent money in the transfer market and gave you one or two top quality signings every year, I don't think I'd complain about them. Because the Super League stuff's done. We can't change it. All I want is the club to be competitive in the market and to back the manager. That's all I've ever wanted from these owners. Otherwise, they should be in the background and we shouldn't even hear from them. We should be talking week to week about the manager and the players. How can we be such a big club but have no money? We can only buy if we sell players. And even then, we've sold players, mate, and we haven't bought. What other club in world football would spend 3 years looking for a number 6 and not find one? And have wasted money along the way. Because now we spent 18.5 million on Waturo Endo, or 16.5 million. And ARNE Slot doesn't fancy him. So that was a one-season signing. That was the cheap option because we didn't get the player that we actually wanted. So that's more money wasted. On top of the loan fee for Mello, wasted. The $500,000 for Ben Davies, wasted. The loan fee for Kabak, wasted. These people are supposed to be clever, have wasted money being cheap. That's how I see it. So, keep hitting that like button for me. I don't want this streak to end, really. We've had this mad streak now of about 15 days where we've had 1,000 likes on every live stream. So if you haven't, there's enough of you to get us over the line. Do hit that like button. And also, just a quick bit of shameless self-promotion. 1 second. Our live show in Liverpool, November 15th. Tickets are on sale right now. You can get them with the link in the description or at the top of the chat. It is an all ages event, so it's open to everybody to come along. And we're going to put on a great show for you. We're going to have a live musical act. We're going to have a stand-up comedian. And then we're going to have me with whatever the hell I do. We'd love you to come along and see us. It was great fun the last time we were in Liverpool earlier this month. And it made us want to go straight back in November. So appreciate your support on that one as well. Craig, can't help but think these Muppets can get a deal done in 5 days. Shocking. It's not just a deal, mate. That's the the frustrating part. It's that, let's look at Georgi Mamardashvili as an example. How long has this negotiation been going on? In a one-horse race. So the player wants the move. Liverpool want the move. We know the parameters of the deal are somewhere between 30 and 40 million euro. And we've been talking about this for 7 to 10 days. And we're still no closer to an end game. I'm baffled. How do you drag that out this long? And now we're hearing about the fact there could be a 2-year loan on the table, maybe, as an option there. These are supposed to be the tough, shrewd negotiators who are at the top of their game. And the risk-reward strategy going into this window has not worked out too well. Bring back George Schmatke. He got Gravenberch done in 24 hours. And Soboslai. Soboslai happened very quickly as well. Because we only had a short window to trigger the clause. I jokingly said earlier on in this window that what happened last year with Caicedo and Lavia wouldn't have happened on Michael Edwards' watch. Well, unfortunately I was wrong on that one. I don't know how you give a player 2 weeks to make a decision on his future. 48 hours. You shouldn't need to be talked into moving to Liverpool Football Club. When Liverpool Football Club come knocking on your agent's door and you're at a club, even if it is your hometown club, like Sociedad, and you have any ambition in your career, you should be jumping at that move. And if after 24, 48 hours you're not getting those vibes that this dude wants that move badly, then he's not the one for you. Move on. Always a red said, Eze to Liverpool, Palace expecting a bid, Miguel Delaney. There has been a little bit of chatter around Eze and Liverpool. Miguel Delaney, I would say, is a very, very good journalist. I have a lot of respect for Miguel Delaney as a journalist. I don't really see him as a one-club-centric kind of journalist. He's more an all-encompassing chief football writer for the Independent. And I don't know if it is us or not, but I would absolutely expect that Palace are expecting an offer for Eze. That wouldn't surprise me at all. It'll also be interesting to see what happens with regards to Mark Gay. If Newcastle don't get that deal done, will they turn their attention to Gomez? And if they do, are we going to be stupid enough to sell him? Because if we imagine for a second we sold Gomez and didn't get a replacement in, that means we're going into the season with Van Dijk, Kanade and Kwanzaa. End of conversation. Craig, I believe this team can win the Premier League. All these players earning enough money. If these players' contracts are up, then let them go. If they're looking for more money, it's just greed. But so there's a lot to unpack there, Paul. They're all on a lot of money, mate. Yes, God, we can only dream of the money these guys earn. But to kind of look at it another way, these guys have also been a part of the club's success. The three we're talking about with the contracts at the minute. And for them not to have been even given an offer of a new deal, or at least if you don't want to give them a new deal, tell them. You know, what good is stringing them along going to do? It's only going to fester resentment. And we don't want what happened today with Trent happening again and again. And like I've said all the way through, all we're going to hear about between the end of this window and January is Mohamed Salah's future. And you're going to see link after link to the Saudi Pro League because he could sign a pre-contract agreement in January. You're going to see links to Virgil van Dijk to the likes of Dortmund. You're going to see talk about Trent going to Real Madrid. And I don't care how well you think you can block out noise as a club. That's going to be destabilising. That's going to get into the dressing room. That's not going to end well. So, whatever about the players, mate, honesty is what's needed here with everybody, including those players who you may not think there's value in giving new deals to. Just be honest with them and the fans. Demon Jedi Gaming said, worse still, we have to agree to sell Gomez, then can't get a replacement and pull the plug. Then Gomez throws his toys out for the year. So Joe, I think, has every right to feel a little bit annoyed at the situation he finds himself in. He knows he was potentially going to be a make-weight in a deal for Anthony Gordon. So the club have shown him they were willing to move him on. I don't understand the situation with Joe, because if we don't want him around or don't think we can guarantee him minutes, be honest with him and then let him make his decision. If he said, look, I want to go and play, we could have got this sorted out a long time ago. Given him time to get a move and found time to get a replacement. All of this stuff just feels like there's not an ounce of honesty is the only word I can think of. Does Fabrizio work for City? He seems to be posting about them a lot. He works for whoever pays him to post information. I mean, that's simplifying it a little bit, but think of it this way. People use Fabrizio Romano to manipulate an agenda and to spin a narrative into it. And his influence and reach are obviously very considerable. So one tweet from him can tip the balance of a conversation or a negotiation in a club's favour or in a player's favour. And that's why I don't like him. Because I don't believe he serves what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know what his intentions are other than to make money. And I don't know what good he does the footballing landscape. Nor do I think he's on the level. There's a lot about him I don't like, quite frankly. And I don't think I'm alone. I see the guy from HRTC Sevens was posting a little bit about the whole Greenwood situation and Romano's take on that. I can only say I don't like him. That's all I can say. Repeat the same thing. You can't deny that the guy gets information, but it's why he gets the information and how much he's paid to post it. For instance, if we believe that a club was briefed David Ornstein to say something, I don't believe he's been paid to say it. I believe he might have been given information and he runs with it, but I don't believe he's been paid. I don't remember David Ornstein having a website where you can go, put in what you want him to say, pay the money and get the here we go. I don't remember him selling 50 quid Kylian Mbappe here we go t-shirts. Romano is an industry in unto himself. I don't see him as part of the football landscape. I see him as just a business person who's found a niche and is cashing in on it. But for football clubs and fans, I don't see him as a positive, personally. Maybe it was just Klopp, Edwards overhyped, maybe. Again, I don't know. So there's another factor I don't think we've spoken much about. And that's the appeal of the new manager. So what I don't know and I can't quantify how big of a factor coming playing for Jurgen would be to a player. If he's willing to take less money. If he's willing to maybe make a move to a club in a league where maybe he wouldn't want to leave his home country. But it's Jurgen and his reputation is deserved. So I don't know if that's played a factor in the situation this summer. That people maybe aren't as aware of Arne Slot and his coaching, and he certainly isn't as big a name on the world stage. That's another factor maybe to keep in mind this window. So we need 193 more likes to go. Come on, you amazing people. We've got half an hour left on the stream. Let's hit that 1,000 likes. What about Piero Hincapié? So last I'd seen, he was available for about 60 million euro, I think. But, and this is the honest part, I've spoken to many fan content creators, quite a few journalists. I've read a lot over the course of the summer. And as I sit here looking into this camera, I can honestly say to you, I have absolutely no idea who, if anyone, the number one target at centre-back is or was. No clue. And that worries me for two reasons. One, obviously I'd love to know. But two, what if there is none? You know, as you said, the Zubimendi deal only came out because somebody got wind of it on the other end. The club, our side, weren't briefing that. So we might not have known anything about that deal. It might have fallen through and we would have been none the wiser. But that worries me even more. Because if that happened on a few occasions this summer, then we have obviously got a problem with recruitment. Or the pitch. Or some part of the process. All we know as fans is we've signed no one. That's all we know for certain. Stephen O'Reilly said, Miguel Delaney says Palace think Liverpool are coming for Eze. I've got no clue. I'll be speaking with David Lynch tomorrow, and certainly I will be asking him about Eze in that conversation. We're going to record that as a video and a podcast, so that'll come out tomorrow. I mean, as much as I wouldn't say no to Eze, it still doesn't sort my main area of concern, which is the defence. Whether that's the defence via midfield, stopping it there, or stopping it from a centre-back position. One of those, if not both of those areas, are my main priority. But if the club are viewing Eze as a future alternative for somebody who may be leaving, look, he's a good player. I have no issues around Eze. But bringing in another attacker in this window would give us, or midfield attacker, would give us firepower, but it wouldn't help us if we were short of numbers defensively. And that's still unforgivable. You know, if there's one area of the pitch that we could wait till next summer to sort out, it's attack. It's defence that needs the most addressing, in my humble opinion. Imagine the English tax on the Eze deal makes no sense, especially with so much similar talent already. We have bigger problems. That's exactly what I'm saying. There was a rumour saying Coop Miners is an alternative for Zubamendi. I can say to you very, very confidently that he wants to join Juventus. And that's been made known. Juventus are frustrated that they haven't been able to agree that deal yet with Atalanta. They've put, I think, a €60 million offer down. And he's made it known he wants to go to Juventus. So that would be another potential embarrassment if that was the case. And also, and I can't say this clearly enough, if it was Coop Miners, we could have done that deal a very long time ago, because he didn't go to the Euros. 126 likes to go. Please do keep hitting that like button for me if you're with us. So yeah, for me it's centre-back or midfield. That's the priority for now. Down the line, yes, we have to look at Mohamed Salah. And also, Darwin. We got to be honest about Darwin. So far, he's got a long way to go. Diogo Jota deservedly is the starter at the minute. And Darwin, when he came on today, didn't do anything to change things. He has a lot of groundwork to make up and a lot of convincing still to do. He is absolutely capable of it, but it's down to him now. If he wants to fight and save his Liverpool future, then the dude has got to start putting the ball in the back of the net and stop straying offside and really get to grips with what ARNE Slot wants from him, or he's going to have a problem. And so will we. Because if Diogo gets a knock and we have Darwin through the centre, a misfiring, unconfident Darwin, that's not going to end well for us either. That offside today for Darwin, it's pathetic. You can say it's one offside in itself, but it's lazy. He had every opportunity to get back behind that defensive line. He had every opportunity to be onside, and he wasn't. And I'm sorry, but that is basic bitch stuff. And I don't like to lean into that lazy Darwin offside stuff, but that was so bad. Like, he didn't even try to get back onside properly. It just looked lazy. Offside was bad, but why did Harvey play the ball so early from that angle? You could see miles off. Can make an argument about that as well, mate. Absolutely. But it's never looked like Darwin's been able to get on the same wavelength as the people who play those passes through. You know, if you look at today as an example, right? Look at the first goal of the game. Mohamed Salah was in a battle on the edge of our penalty area. The ball breaks a little bit. He goes to ground. Diogo Jota picks the ball up, runs directly at the heart of the defence, and then look at the genius of the run from Diaz and the release of the ball from Diogo. Two forwards who knew what was happening, an intelligent run to open up the angle across the front of the defender. Jota slips it in, And Diaz knows one of two things is about to happen. He either uses his pace to get through on goal and he gets a shot away, which he did and scored, or he gets brought down and we're looking at a possible red card. It was perfect. It was everything I love about this group of players in a perfectly executed, timed counter-attack. Even for the second goal today, look at that finish from Mo. Like that was not an easy finish, and he made it look so. So the understanding with Mo and a lot of his teammates is there. The weight of pass into Szoboszlai from, and look at the little movement in and around the edge of the box that nearly ended up in a goal. That would have been one of the goals of the decade if it went in. Just pass and move. It was training ground stuff. It makes your soul sing watching football played that way. It was so beautiful. And it really, really was. Unfortunate we didn't finish it off. They knew, every one of those guys knew what was happening. They knew the movement, they knew what to expect, and it was bang, 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 bang. It was so good. It was so good to watch. Like when you hear total football, sexy football, there is nothing better than one touch, give and go stuff, little triangles to open up. Oh my lads, I could watch it all day. It was phenomenal. Do you know anything about the kid we bought from Wolves? He's a winger, and that's about all I know. Apparently himself and Rion Yamoha, both of those deals are going to be fine. I think the Alvin Ayman, is that his name? I think that one's been publicly acknowledged as having gone through, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was done yesterday. And the Rion Yamoha, or excuse my pronunciation of that, I believe that deal's going to happen as well. But again, you're talking about kids who are going to go into the under-18s, and you're a year or two minimum away from getting to the first team. Craig, I think Darwin isn't good enough for Liverpool. And see, if that's the case, and by the way, I'm open to that. You know, I want him to come good. I hope he comes good. We all see the positive stuff that Darwin can do. But ultimately, if he doesn't do it, then the club have made a big mistake in the market. An expensive mistake in the market. And it'll have to be corrected. And the only player I can see right now that I think could work in Slot's system is ENQUIRIES of Sporting Lisbon. That would be the one, be at the tip of my tongue right now. But God, it's a big gamble. It's a big gamble because you're basically writing Darwin off if you're going to go out and sign another striker right now. But do you do that, or do you take the risk that one, he comes good, and two, if he doesn't come good, Diogo stays fit? Don't know. Sesko would be a great player, but I think he's made it clear he's not moving for a year. Didn't he say he's staying at Leipzig for another campaign? Arsenal, I think, tried really hard to grab him as well. Naldo said, I'm concerned for the men. Oh, by the way, 83 likes is all we need now. 83. I'm concerned for the mentality of Cody Darwin on reduced minutes, can become greedy trying to impress. I love the battle we have on the left, actually, between Cody and Diaz, because I think it's going to bring the best out of both of them. I liked the reaction from Cody when he came on. He was very unlucky. I know his shot took a deflection off Nathan Collins' head and went over the bar, or off the bar actually. But that's a great battle. You know, we've got two left wingers there who had two great summers, two great international tournaments, and I'm enjoying it. Let the fight commence, you know. I think that will lead to us having two really good left wingers duking it out to see who gets the shirt. And fair play to both of them, because their levels are really high. Lookman is set to join PSG, said Damien. There you go. That was another name that had been briefly linked to us and Arsenal, I believe, Ademola Lookman. But I never really understood us being in from at that price at, what is he, 27? Colin said it's unfair on Cody. He was fired at the Euros. Well, to be fair, Diaz was pretty impressive at the Copa as well. As I said, this is a good headache. We're both Both those guys are on top form. So I think it's great. It's unfortunate, of course, because you could make a good argument for either one of them starting. But that's the level of competition that I think is going to bring them both on to incredible levels. Because Diaz knows if he doesn't continue what he's doing, Cody's there chomping at the bit, ready to go. Cody knows if he gets his chance, he's got to take it. That's good. That's proper. I love that. $39 is all we need. 39 little likes. Mark's got another stat for us. Said Slot is the first manager since 1991 to win 2 league games in his first 2 games as Liverpool gaffer. Love that. And well done to ARNE as well. Look, that shouldn't get lost in all of the anger over the transfer window. The manager's come in and he couldn't have done any more. 2 games, 2 wins, 2 clean sheets. Full credit to ARNE and the squad. But that's not where any of our anger is. All of our anger is placed towards the owners on the transfer committee, because inevitably there will be injuries and there will be a fall away, and that's where it becomes even more apparent that with 1 or 2 signings we could have done something really special. So heading to Old Trafford next weekend is going to be big. We've got a chance to go into the international break with maximum points, sticking a dagger in Ten Hag's, metaphorically, back, and putting the pressure back on him and his job already. They were beaten by Brighton. They weren't very convincing against Fulham. And if we go there and beat them next week, that's going to put them up shit creek. And Neville's prediction's going to look even more hilarious at this point. So, yeah, big game. Big game. And we need everyone on the same page. We need everybody focused, happy, and no distractions over the course of this week. But I fear we're going to go into this game, and let's say, even if we drew at Old Trafford, you know and I know what happens next. We get frustrated. Fans start getting loud, vocal, turning on each other, getting aggressive, getting angry. And that's what's going to happen the first time we drop points or the first time we pick up an injury, because it's the natural end point to no signings in a window and a lot of I told you so's. It would be so good beating United, as Ten Hag was saying Arne Slot might not be ready for the move to Liverpool. He's sorry, I was a couple of super chats. I want to make sure. I think I've brought these up, but if I haven't, let me just go back over them. Nimoy said maybe it was just Klopp. Edwards overhyped. And this one from Whitehammer, I know I didn't bring up, said no football brain, unfortunately for Darwin. The offside thing is doubly frustrating, bro, because he has the pace that he can give himself a yard and still get at the defenders, because when he's in full flight, he's almost impossible to stop. He's like a thoroughbred racehorse. Like, that's what gets me about him. He doesn't need to be on the shoulder as much because he has that extra yard in him. He'll beat most defenders over 5 to 10 yards. Are we being unfair to Darwin? We signed him on the basis of what he did playing from the left. Swap him and Cody was a beast from the left at Benfica. So, are we being harsh on him? I'm going to answer the question a different way. I don't think Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes signed Darwin Núñez, because I believe Darwin Núñez was signed off 2 things. His games against us, where he scored and looked impressive, and that one outlier of a season that he had for Benfica. Because over the course of his career, that's not normal Darwin Núñez numbers. He had one breakout campaign and we pulled the trigger on the deal. Now, again, hope and still believe he could come good. But I don't think I'm wrong in saying that I'd be amazed if Edwards or Hughes signed him. He doesn't strike me as somebody that Edwards would have felt there was a big enough sample size or consistency of performance. I feel like that was a bit of a punt, to be fair. United have a habit of playing shite against us at Old Trafford and somehow getting a positive result. Yes, I know. The fact we didn't beat them last season at all, it still doesn't sit well with me, mate. Do you think Edwards will sell Núñez? Said Olwethu. I guess the problem, my friend, would be you're going to lose money, right? Because nobody's going to come in now and pay €100 million for Darwin Núñez based off what we've seen. So I don't think you can sell him at this point either. I think you have to at least get a decent season out of him and make a decision one way or the other. And this is another potential headache that we have down the road on top of the Trent, Virgil, Mohamed situation, on top of the centre-back and central midfield situation. Darwin doing it for Uruguay, though, it's just us. But he looks a different person in the Uruguay shirt, right? He looks far more at home, relaxed, comforted. Again, this is just me having a cold read of it without knowing anything. I don't think he's settled. That's how I look at this. I don't think the English culture and league and weather suits Darwin. I think Spain, Portugal, Italy, maybe, perhaps. That's the only thing I can say. And as I said, I don't know the kid. I don't know the lad at all. But you are right. He looks a different beast for Uruguay. Whether that's Bielsa, whether that's his teammates, whether that's a sense of belonging or confidence, I don't know. Szoboszlai too, Craig, wouldn't be here. Good, but not top. Yeah, I would say Szoboszlai. Look, I love Dominic Szoboszlai, and I would have signed him. But I get where you're coming from about Edwards and Hughes, particularly Edwards. Yeah, I get where you're coming from. But look, he is a Liverpool player, and he's shown more brightness or more comfort under Arne Slot, in my opinion, in the role he's been asked to play. And I think maybe rightly or wrongly, I just really feel that there is a superstar in there if we can just keep him developing. He's only 23 now, still, Dom. So, he's still 2-3 years away from getting into his peak. Who was my idol growing up? It depends what you mean. So, as a goalkeeper, my idols growing up were Gigi Buffon, Peter Schmeichel, as much as he was a United player. As a goalkeeper growing up, you look at him and you couldn't but be impressed. From a Liverpool perspective, Robbie Fowler, Steven Gerrard, John Barnes, Ronnie Whelan, of course, from an Irish perspective. Love John Aldridge. But if I had to pick one player growing up, Maradona. It's players like Maradona that made me fall in love with the game. How do you bring in a new manager and not back him in his first window? I don't know the answer to that, mate, because there isn't a rational one that I can think of. Yeah, I love Pepe Reina as well. Do you know what? Actually, I'm putting together a list that I'm going to record, the top 10 goalkeepers of the Premier League era. I'm putting my list together at the moment, which is interesting you bring up Pepe Reina, because I think Pepe Reina was one of the first goalkeepers I remember being so good with the ball at his feet as he was. And what I found very difficult weighing up the goalkeeper conversation over the Premier League era is what they were asked to do. So back in the day, keepers were shot stoppers and they came out and they, commanded their area. But nowadays they're sweepers, their quarterbacks, how they distribute the ball, and they still need to do all the other stuff. So it's going to be a very interesting video that I think is going to, as always, divide people's opinions. I wasn't around to see George Best, Mary. George was a little bit before my time. I never got to see him play. Same with Kenny Dalglish. I never got to watch Kenny Dalglish playing, or Graham Souness. Has there ever been a summer window with absolutely no signing in the last 20 years? Don't know. Don't know off the top of my head. I do remember some staff floating around over the course of this summer that this is the longest Liverpool had gone in X amount of years without signing in a summer transfer window. But yeah, I don't know. It's unacceptable. We're the only top club in Europe not to have made a signing. Thoughts on Endrick saying one of his idols was Bobby Charlton? What? That's mental. That's right up there with Jude Bellingham's horseshit about Zinedine Zidane when Zidane had retired. Yeah, I mean, that's... I don't believe that for 1 second if he said it. That's mental. With the current squad, where do you honestly think we'll finish up this league? Cheers, Howard from Dublin. If third or fourth, I think without any signings, even with stuff gone a bit awry for us, third or fourth seems like where we're about at the minute. Bad injuries, you might drop a bit lower. Lack of injuries and a bit of a rub of the green, maybe you go a tiny bit higher. But right now I feel third is probably about fair, third or fourth. Don Pre said the reported Eze links tonight and socials are just for clicks, chat, nothing to it. Well, what I'd say is I would certainly not include Miguel Delaney as somebody who puts stuff out there for clicks. Personally, having met him once briefly but having admired his work for a while, it's not really his style of journalism. But whether there's truth to the links to Eze or not, I haven't got a clue. What made me do another live show? I'm glad you asked that question. Because going into it, and all the way up to it, and even after the Cardiff show, there was no thoughts of me doing another live show. If you asked me an hour before I left to go to the Liverpool show, I would have told you I am not signing or doing another show ever again. But I'm going to tell you what happened. So, Terry, a local Scouser, gave us a lift to the venue. And he dropped me off right at the door of the venue. So we pulled up on the van door and we got out of the venue. And we were early because we were there obviously to make sure we can set up and do a sound check and all. And I was met with Dave Sharples and 3 or 4 other people who were standing outside having a smoke, I think. And I was given a handshake, a hug, told welcome to Liverpool. I got to the door of the venue. Security guard was welcoming. I walked inside the door of the venue. An 85-year-old man stood up, came over to me and said, Craig, I don't watch football content, but I always appreciate your honesty and I like watching the channel. And from that point to the point I walked to the dressing room, I was met with hugs, handshakes, warmth, friendliness and sincerity. And it made me feel at ease. So 5 minutes before I'm going on stage, I'm backstage and I'm listening to Carl Porter doing a stand-up, and I'm standing there with my wife behind the stage, and I said to her, Sabrina, I don't feel any nerves. I don't know what's up here, but I don't feel any nerves. I feel like I'm at home here. I feel like I'm comfortable. And I walked out on stage and I had no nerves. The whole show, I enjoyed every minute of it. I enjoyed the audience participation, and I felt like $1,000,000. I felt amazing. And I finished the show and I said, I want to do another one. I want to do another one in Liverpool, but only in Liverpool. That's the answer. You know, it was amazing. And I've never ever felt so loved and supported in anywhere. So thank you to Liverpool and to everyone that came out, because it left a lasting impression on me that I won't forget. That's the truth. And remember, I was going over to Liverpool scared. Not scared of getting beaten up or anything like that, but scared that the city that I loved and had always admired, I'd been told on social media, hated me. And I was an embarrassment, and I wasn't welcomed, and I wasn't wanted, and we were threatened on the phone previously, gone over to a game, and all this other stuff. And none of that was my lived experience of going to Liverpool. It was only people stopping you and saying something nice. And it was amazing. And I don't know I deserved it. The good stuff, I mean, but God almighty, I felt great. Would I ever consider moving to Liverpool? Maybe. You know, I probably want to move to Spain if I ever do move, to be fair, for health reasons. But yeah, it was incredible. Honestly, I felt so proud, and my son to come up to me and say, "I'm proud of you" after it. It couldn't have been a better night. Honestly, I couldn't have felt any more satisfied with how that went. So that's why I wanted to come back, and that's why we wanted to do it bigger and better. We're flying over a musician from Ireland with us, and we're going to put on a better show. And we hope that people come, enjoy it, and we do it once or twice a year. That's the plan. Thank you, Dave. I love meeting you as well, mate. It was a lovely experience, the whole lot of it. And the venue, I gotta say, amazing. The whole staff, great, just good fun place. If you have never been to the Hot Water Comedy Club for a night out for yourself with your partner or whatever, go. I mean, it is an incredible venue. 8 eateries, bars, cocktail bars, comedy. It's just an incredible place as well. Not saying much about the rest of us that went to see it. So, again, Mary, I haven't said one thing in any way negative about any other city or place I've been to. Not one. And I don't want you to feel that is a dig at anybody else either. I was basically just trying to say to you that I didn't feel nerves. I felt nerves in Dublin, I felt nerves in Cardiff, I felt nerves in Belfast, and I enjoyed the shows and meeting everybody there. But there was just something different I hit with Liverpool. Maybe, Mary, because that's the show that was the end of all of it. That was the show where all the other shows were learning environments to get me to that show, to prove a point in a city that I wanted to prove a point in. So it's certainly not meant as a knock to anyone that came to Dublin, Belfast, because they were amazing as well. And I never ever would take anyone's support for granted. So please don't feel it's like that, because that's not the case. Right, so Connor sent me this essay stuff, and it said Crystal Palace are now bracing themselves for approaches from Liverpool for Eberici Eze. And then it said they don't expect an approach, they've just got to stand ready and know what they're at, i.e. braced if there is one. The newsletter is written from the Palace perspective. And then somebody said, why mention Liverpool, Miguel? Miguel replied to say, because they're one of the clubs that Palace know, have had a long-term interest. It doesn't just mention Liverpool, and I was writing from a Palace perspective. So again, as I've said, I've never thought Miguel Delaney is a clickbait journalist or anything. I've nothing but the height of respect for him. Even the way he's answering people on social media there, he's been trying to be honest and say he's writing it from a Palace perspective. So I would say don't be expecting Liverpool to be signing an Eze based off tonight's interactions anyway. Was I nervous in the other venues? Oh, definitely. Definitely. And, you know, there could be another thing to the Liverpool show in that it's the only one that I did a show 2 days beforehand. So maybe I'd worked out some of the nerves. When I did the Dublin show, it was a standalone show. So it was the first one. So yes, there was nerves. When I did Belfast, I hadn't done a show in 7-8 months. So again, that could have been the nerves from having not done it in so long. And maybe the fact that I did Cardiff and Liverpool within 2 days helped with the Liverpool nerves. But honestly, I feel really strongly that I hope Mary or anybody else doesn't feel that I in any way felt less appreciative of the people in Dublin, Belfast and Cardiff who came out, because I don't. I appreciate every single one of them. Which is why, to be fair, I stayed around and met every single one of them afterwards and took every single picture and signed every single thing and did it in every venue because it means a lot to me. Anywho, I'm going to go because my voice is absolutely gone at this point from what's been a really long day. Thank you for keeping up that record with us by hitting those 1,000 likes. It really does mean a lot. And again, and I can't say this enough, I certainly hope I didn't feel like I didn't appreciate Cardiff, Dublin and Belfast, because that definitely was not my intention with what I was saying there tonight. Yeah, I don't take people's support for granted, and I never will. I love you guys to bits. I'll see you tomorrow. Recording with David Lynch at about 3:30 or 4, so that should be out by 5. And fingers crossed, 4 days to go from tomorrow. Let's see what the rest of this window brings. Talk to you soon.